Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and it is a Sunday. There really isn't a whole lot of news type stuff to talk about, so we're going to be using this as an opportunity to talk about the overall state of the game, the health report of Raid, how well is the Call of the Arbiters series doing, what do the metrics look like, what's going on, things that I'm observing within the landscape of the community, and all of that, because I think Raid is at a little bit of a tipping point right now, and I will let you know my reasons for thinking that here in this video while I'm farming up the Astronix Dark Fae final boss here in the Doom Tower. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, I don't want to come off as super doom and gloom because I don't think it's like done for Raid. I don't think things that are happening are irreparable. Is that a word? Irreparable? I don't know. But I don't think it's like past the breaking point of coming back because we still don't really see a game that can truly compete with Raid Shadow Legends. If there was a game out there in the industry truly as good as Raid Shadow Legends, like the same amount of champions, the same depth of content, the same level of marketing and graphics, then I would say, hey, things need to really shift or it's going to be gone fast. But I still think because there's no competition with doing things as well as Raid does them, just kind of overall, I still think it's correctable, but I do see kind of a downward snowball trend starting to happen that I'm starting to observe. So first, I want to share with you some of my overall thoughts on kind of the evolution of Raid throughout time and what I expect it to be in the future. So first of all, there's really never been a game with the same experience as Raid. Raid kind of came out right before the whole pandemic thing and at like an economic peak. Raid came out at like that perfect time. And then obviously the pandemic happens and you have kind of a gold rush of everybody trying to work from home and people being more interested in getting into gaming because maybe they've got more free time. They're at home more often. They're looking to download a game and try things out. And that was when we saw kind of the peak of Raid Shadow Legends, was kind of right there in the early COVID days, was when the actual like full-on peak of Raid was. And that was like when Hell Hades made his channel and just immediately blew up and started his website and was kind of like that peak of the Raid community completely exploding. We saw a lot of people who were looking into working from home and getting into content, and a lot of like new, really talented, really good content creators entered the scene as well, and the community really got insanely robust around Raid, and it was a massive springboard for Raid to become what it has been for the last few years. But I've been saying for years that there's going to be a bubble burst on content creation and like some of these mobile games in general. I mean, we're getting like hundreds and thousands of these mobile games that are gacha mechanics and champion collectors and all of that. And that bubble is going to burst at some point as we get kind of more and more years removed from obviously the traumatic events of the end of 2019 and early 2020, and the world is starting to kind of slowly try to equalize after that. I think we're going to see sort of a bubble burst on some of this stuff as the world slowly transitions to getting back to what it was before all of that happened. And we've already kind of seen a little bit of it. You've got a lot of content creators that have like a lot of the OG kind of staples in the community. A lot of them, they either like don't even play their main account anymore, or they are playing other games more and more often, or they've just completely fully moved on. You've got like Darth Micro, who's crushing it in Diablo 4. You've got Jay Giggs moving on. You've had a lot of like the Stews and the BGEs and the Kizzles, and you've seen kind of like this evolution of the community and lots of kind of those staples in the early days and the middle days of Raid that have moved on, and it has kind of evolved into a new scene. And some of that contributes to why I don't think, in my opinion, the community feels quite as alive as it used to. And I think there was an easy way for Plarium to kind of capture some of that and bring it back. Like, when was the last time that the Raid Shadow Legends community was really hopping and there was a lot of excitement? It was credit to Hell Hades and his team when they did their free-to-play competition. That's the last time that I remember the community really excited and people rallying behind starting accounts and bringing friends in and hanging out in Discord and really doing something within the community, was when Hell Hades did that free-to-play competition. Well, Plarium had a massive strikeout, and I said it before the live arena even came out. I told you all that Plarium's gonna release the live arena without the ability to have custom matches, and it's gonna be a huge swing and a miss with adding live arena to the game. And that's exactly what happened, unfortunately. They did not bring any sort of life to the live arena, to the community, where people can host like clan tournaments, and you can host a bracket with all of your friends in your Discord server and do like a live arena tournament with special rules where you can't use certain champions, and like the content creators would have had endless competitions promoting the game and being able to really get people excited about live arena and be able to play in something. Like, I come from StarCraft and the StarCraft community, and like 90% of the community engagement was because we can do custom games. We can host show matches. We can have clan versus clan tournaments where each clan like brings 5 players and then we play against each other. And all of that stuff is what enabled StarCraft to be a community, and Raid just refuses to add any of that. Now, maybe they'll do it at some point, but it should have been in there from day one, and then we wouldn't be experiencing near kind of like, I don't know the word for it because I'm really not like down and doom and gloom, but the the kind of like the distant feeling of the Raid community right now, because we've got a very underwhelming fragment event going on. Polling here on the channel shows that 92% of people have no interest in the current fragment champion. We're getting them like too often. We're having like a shift in the content creator scene. We're not really able to do any of the, like the fun new things in the Raid community, like doing something with the live arena and stuff like that. So that's kind of contributing to some of those feelings. And I also want to pull up the Raid Shadow Legends official channel and talk about the Call of the Arbiters series. Honestly, it's doing pretty well. I mean, you had episode 1 get 3.6 million views so far, which is really, really good. Now, obviously, episode 1 is always going to be the most watched because you have like, that's everybody who's going to check out the episode. That's what they're going to watch. So far, we've had 3.6 million views on episode 1, and that probably surpasses expectations of what I thought it would be. It retained 2.3 million for episode 2. That's honestly pretty good, and still over a million at 1.3 for episode 3, and it's kind of slowly falling off. Now, that means it looks like the next one is probably going to be around 700, 750, and hopefully they can retain at least like 500,000 viewers or something. But all in all, it looks like viewership is decent, but I would say the downside is that the viewership is dwindling at a pretty alarming rate. And I just hosted this poll this morning, so it hasn't had time to really get thousands of votes. Shout out to all of you that vote over on the community tab, because it really helps me bring some context and nuance to discussions like this. But so far, I mean, we've got a pretty positive review of the show. So it looks like 24% of people are saying that it's great. And then if you add up these two, you get basically like 75% of people with a positive view of the Call of the Arbiter series. And then you've got 20% of people that don't even care to watch it, and only 8% of people saying that they don't like it and it's not very good. And the Call of the Arbiter series was very obviously Raid's attempt at their like summer marketing campaign. You know how they do like the promos with Ninja or the promos with Ronda Rousey, or they give away like the Ultimate Death Night and they have all the content creators interview Ultimate Death Night and do all like the commercials around all of that. Well, it looks like their summer promotion is going to be the Call of the Arbiter series. And all in all, it's kind of, it's hard to tell if it's having the effect they wanted or not. It's not like going awful, and it's also not going amazing. If we look at like the community engagement within Reddit, which obviously isn't a perfect metric, but it's really hard to get like that perfect metric. It's just kind of one of the pieces of the pie. You've got the Reddit history in terms of, let me get a better color here on the pen. You've got the engagement history on Reddit, obviously skyrocket, and then kind of peaked around here in that like 2020, 2021 window. And then it's kind of been slowly in this direction lately. But honestly, within the recent last kind of like since the beginning of the year, looks like it's been going up, if anything, although recently, like the last month or so, looks like it's been mostly down. And then some of the trend lines over the course of the last year in terms of web search and web traffic. You've got Raid kind of peaking towards the holiday season, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, that time of the year, November into December, where it peaked up and hit its peak in the last year. And then since about the start of the year, we've got it over here down about 25% from where it was during the kind of winter and the end of 2022. And then if we go ahead and we add Call of the Arbiter to the chart, we've got Call of the Arbiter in blue, Raid Shadow Legends in red. It looks like the show at its peak, what like when it came out, it was about what 6 or 7% as popular as Raid the game, which I mean, that's about to be expected. You're not going to have a huge conversion rate in terms of getting like everyone who's interested in the game to watch a show, but it seems a little bit low. I'm not an expert on like games making shows, but just off of like my gut reaction, it seems a little bit low. And then right now it's kind of trended down to where it's probably about 3% as popular as the actual game. So then if we zoom out and we go over just the Raid Shadow Legends graph over the lifespan of Raid, comparing the Call of the Arbiter marketing campaign and promotion to like the Ronda Rousey was towards the end of 2022. It was like November to January, somewhere in there. And we did like, if I got to get my mouse out. So like right here, you can see like it really spiked up. Like this is about when Ronda Rousey was announced. And we saw that spike go up here towards the end of the year. And that was the peak. That was like the Ronda Rousey promotion was the last time that Raid Shadow Legends peaked, and it was honestly at an almost at an all-time high in terms of web traffic. It was really comparable towards that first kind of like pre-COVID blow up here when the game was brand new. But it's hard to say if that was credit to the Ronda Rousey promotion or if it's just that time of year where Raid does well, because we've kind of seen that November, December, January time period always do well for Raid. Like it obviously in the first year you see the massive spike over that first winter, and then the next year it hits a low kind of at the beginning of fall, and then it spikes up as we head into the new year, and it kind of does the same thing every year. See, you've got October and then it ramps up, and then the next year you've got November and it ramps up. So I bet you we're going to see a little bit of a lull over the course of the next few months, and then it's going to be interesting to see how Plarium will capitalize on trying to have another ramp up and spike as we get into kind of that October, November, December phase, which means we're probably going to get a pretty big promotion. The Call of the Arbiter series will go for a little bit longer, and then we may get like some promotion with a celebrity or a champion. Then there'll be a couple months off, and I bet you we get some sort of huge promotional, maybe new content in the game, something super special going on in like October or November. And the reason the title of the video is probably something like Raid is at kind of a tipping point is, let me know if you disagree. Let me know if I'm wrong or if I'm off base here or something. But it feels like really no one's happy. It doesn't seem like the whales and the high spenders are happy because of the whole Taras and Marichka, the polymorph, all of the shenanigans going on kind of in the end game of the arena, and none of them really seem to like it. They're very frustrated with how that is going. And then you also have kind of like the early game, mid game type of players that are seeing these constant shard events, this underwhelming fragment event champion come out with something like a double summon rush. We're seeing inflation in everything from the shard events to the fragment events and everything. And it's like, right now, like it's a coiled spring. Like no one's happy. It's like condensing down, and we're not able to kind of get as hyped about the game as we could in previous times. So you couple that with some of like the biggest contributors in the community either taking a step back or completely leaving the community, and it makes me think that right now towards the second half of 2023, that Raid is kind of at a tipping point where it's either going to be a situation where it starts to flounder seriously, or it can kind of correct course and have a really good 2024. So yeah, that's some of the thoughts on how I feel about what is going on right now in Raid and in the Raid community and all that. Definitely let me know what you think down below, where you agree with me, where you disagree with me, and all of that. I always enjoy reading through the discussions on topics like this as well. So remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content. I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.